Well, there's a remake of Child's Play coming out this week, which I haven't seen yet, but I'll probably end up reviewing because it's my job and I've been out of the regular workforce for too long to actually ever stop doing this, despite internet pop culture video critique being a fixed point younger person's game that I am rapidly aging beyond the point of being able to keep up with. What the fuck is the Total Drama franchise? And why would it matter if it has a prequel or
Viewer advisory. The rest of this review contains incitements to violence, foul language, rubber novelty poop, and brief nudity.
In any case, I haven't seen the new Child's Play. It looks like a movie, I guess. I don't know. I mean, obviously I'll give it a fair shake, and I will. I have watched Aubrey Plaza in literally anything. But I feel like I can't be the only one who hasn't been exactly struck by this ad campaign for a remake of the Mothership franchise of one of the top 5 most iconic characters of the golden age of slasher movies as a must-see. You get the sense that someone remembered that they own the rights to this, that there was another Toy Story movie coming out, and that the kid in Child's Play was also named Andy, and wouldn't it be a fun counter-programming release, and decided they had to throw something together really fast, and that was it. Also, apparently making the new Chucky an Alexa-type AI thing that goes all Skynet instead of possessed by a dead serial killer seems, I don't know, like I said, I'll give it a chance. See, the thing is, even if it's any good, the remake will still rub me the wrong way, because it represents the franchise creators getting screwed over. You see, part of the reason the first 3 films in the original series are called Child's Play 1, 2, and 3, but the others have all been variations on the title antagonist Chucky, in the titling anyway, is that when the producer, screenwriter, and sometime director Don Mancini, who created the character, opted to revive the franchise 7 years after the disappointing performance of Part 3 with a new direction that became Bride of Chucky, they did so for Universal Pictures, whereas MGM had produced the original Child's Play and thus owned the rights to the title and the concept, but not the entirety of the Chucky character, so they can just go ahead and remake Child's Play about a killer doll whenever they want to. Mancini, meanwhile, has stated that he's both not involved in this remake and was against it on principle, turning down an offer to be involved, supposedly in name only, because he resented that its production would inevitably draw attention away from the projects in the original Chucky series he was still actively producing, which, has that ever actually happened before? Has one studio remade the first movie in a franchise while the main franchise is still doing sequels with another studio? That'd be weird, right? Oh wait, what's that? You weren't aware that the series was still going on? You thought it ended 15 years ago in Seed of Chucky? And if you're not significantly older than 15 yourself, you may only be tangentially aware of that one, in fact? Well, alright, okay, sure, let's get caught up.
Movies are weird!
Oh, also, by necessity, there's going to be, spoilers galore for all of these, so please feel free to pause and go catch up on these on your own. I can't imagine they're expensive at this point. The show will be here when you get back. So the first Child's Play comes out in 1988. Most people still feel it's the best in the series. Definitely holds up. Classic horror, classic premise. Poking dark fun at the Cabbage Patch Kids toy craze at the time. The story is that a serial killer, criminal, and all-around bad guy named Charles Lee Ray dies in a toy store fire while fleeing from police, but because he just learned an incantation from a voodoo practitioner he'd befriended once, just go with it, it's a movie, he's able to survive by transferring his soul into a doll named Chucky, which ends up in the ownership of a boy named Andy Barclay, who's exactly young enough to not freak out that his toy can talk and move around on its own until it starts murdering people. The main hook, which the series would then hang the next 2 movies on, is that Chucky needs to perform a second voodoo ritual to swap his soul from the doll into a human host before it becomes stuck there permanently, and because he told Andy his secret first, it has to be him. If you've never seen it, it's actually a lot better than I'm making it sound, mainly owing to the strong script, sharp direction, and the great Brad Dourif's instantly iconic performance as the voice of Chucky.
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
Yeah, so the second one isn't anywhere near as good as the first. The element of surprise is gone because you already know about Chucky right from the start, and it's mostly just more elaborate kills and more cheesy Freddy Krueger-inspired one-liners from Chucky himself. Dourif is still really good, of course, and it has kind of a cool finale in an out-of-control doll factory that kind of makes you wonder if James Cameron saw this while working out the finish for Terminator 2 and thought, okay, what if that, but not stupid? But yeah, it's not great. Anyway, Chucky's dead, but he's not, really dead. Okay, so Part 3 is easily the worst movie in the series. It's got the dullest setting, the most boring kills, the corniest Chucky jokes, the most forgettable characters. Yeah, there's not really a lot to... I mean, it's the sole feature directing credit by a guy named Jack Bender, who's one of the most prolific TV directors in modern times. He did a shitload of TV movies, a bunch of episodes of Lost, Alias, Felicity. He directed the Origin of Hodor's Name episode of Game of Thrones, I guess. That's a thing. Really, the only interesting thing is that they decided they wanted Chucky to chase a different little kid in this movie, so Andy could be aged up to a young adult and it could be set in a military academy, but they made it right away after the second one, so at the time, it actually takes place 7 years into the future, 1998, for no goddamn reason whatsoever. But then it took them 7 real years to get another movie made, so when the fourth one starts up in by then contemporary actual 1998, it's not really that much of a stretch as it would otherwise be that Chucky's remains, oh yeah, he dies again, but not really again, would still just be on hand because in universe, it's really only been a couple of months between movies.
Don't with the Chuck.
So yeah, it takes 7 years and a whole post-Scream ironic horror renaissance to come and almost go all the way before Don Mancini gets another Chucky movie back into production with much greater creative control than he and producing partner David Kirshner ever had over the property previously, and they opt to take things in a totally different direction, embracing a drive-in-inspired, self-referential retro camp horror aesthetic, with Hong Kong auteur Ronnie Yu directing. Chucky got a nasty new Frankenstein stitches look, and they scored a big casting coup with cult movie icon Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany, apparently Charles Lee Ray's equally psychotic ex-girlfriend who resurrects Chucky, only to wind up with a doll body of her own, when it turns out she might have misread some signals about the seriousness of their prior relationship. I honestly think this is the best movie in the whole franchise overall.
I wouldn't marry you if you had the body of G.I. Joe.
I love you.
The puppets are great, the kills are awesome, the humor works, Tilly is a riot, and she has amazing chemistry with Dura. You really can skip right from part 1 to this and not miss anything. Universal was so hot to promote this at the time, they even had Chucky participate in a WCW angle. So this time it only took 6 years to get a sequel. Anyway, you know what else is kind of shitty about MGM doing Don Mancini and the original creators dirty on this remake? They had to go and pull that shit during Pride Month. You see, in addition to creating Chucky, another thing Mancini is known for is having long been one of the more prominent out gay creative voices working in the horror genre. So after lightly peppering Bride of Chucky with some general background nods to the long tradition of crossover between the retro horror and queer cinema communities, he decided to go all in on that angle for the follow-up with a story that would go full horror comedy and pay tribute to Ed Wood's Glen or Glenda by introducing Chucky and Tiffany's seemingly virtuous offspring Glenn as being conflicted by not only the discovery that the long-lost parents are a pair of psychotic killers, but also a version of gender dysphoria owing to having the indeterminate body of a plastic toy. Just go with it, it's a movie.
See? What did I tell you? A beautiful little girl.
What? Are you blind? That's my boy. Yeah. He just hasn't had his growth spurt yet. Don't worry about it, son. You're a late bloomer, that's all.
Obviously, this is both a bad taste R-rated horror comedy riffing on an Ed Wood movie, and also 15 years old, so the language, presentation, general conception of this whole theme probably no longer qualifies as the most sensitive or well understood by current standards treatment of the subject, but Billy Boyd turns in a fairly fascinating performance as Glenn, or maybe Glenda, he's still working that out, and the bizarre metaplot in which Chucky and Tiffany attempt to abduct Jennifer Tilly as herself, the actress, as part of a scheme for Tiffany to possess her body and Glenn or Glenda to possess a child she'll conceive with Chucky, is so damn strange that, well, it's really all the more infuriating that the actual reason the original studio passed on this and took half a decade to make instead of coming out right after Bride wasn't that it was too ridiculous, but that it was too gay. Oh, and John Waters is also in this, because of course he is.
Oh, God bless the little people.
Admit it, a whole bunch of you did not even know this happened, did you? Yeah, 9 years after Seed of Chucky, they finally did another one on a much lower budget, direct-to-home video in Netflix without a lot of early fanfare or talk about exactly what was going to be, other than confirming that Brad Dourif was coming back and that Mancini would write and direct again just like he did on Seed, but that in all the promotional art, Chucky was back looking like his old pre-Stitch face self, and that the film would be a back-to-basics return to traditional horror without the self-referential comedy aspects of the last two. So, was this a reboot? Was it the remake people have been talking about? The filmmakers played it unclear in the press, and for most of the movie, it really is a return to the Is That Doll Alive? Why Does No One Believe Me? Setup from the original, with new people and a more realistic gore, so it really could be seen as a remake/new beginning right up to near the end of the middle, and seriously, if you liked the other movies but only just found out this one existed, maybe go see for yourself. Now that's how you do fan service, with subsequent reveals later on establishing that Tiffany, or rather possessed Jennifer Tilly, and Andy Barclay are both still around and involved in everything, as well as the lead-in for... Yeah, only 2 years ago this came out, this time featuring Chucky tormenting the residents of a mental hospital, and also laying even more what exactly is going on here details raised by the last movie, while dredging up even more of the now alarmingly dense continuity. I don't know if I love this one as much as Bride of Chucky, but it's up there, seriously. This one is nuts, and there's no way you should be remaking the first movie from a series whose basically brand new Part 7 is as original and energetic as this is, especially since they're still not done. Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky were both successful enough at reviving interest in the franchise that the Sci-Fi Channel picked up Mancini's pitch to continue the story as an 8-episode TV limited series in the near future, which he then plans to spin off back into still more, hopefully theatrical sequels, possibly including his dream project of a crossover between Child's Play and Nightmare on Elm Street, owing to Freddy and Chucky having similar personalities. So, is there a point to all of this beyond the remake of Child's Play is this week and here's a recap of the 7 existing movies? I mean, yeah, I think it's actually kind of impressive that this whole mega franchise era where intellectual properties are king and mega corporations fight over them, that one particular writer and an ever-expanding yet fairly close-knit group of friends and colleagues have remained committed to keeping Chucky, this sort of silly, arguably disreputable B-movie horror icon, relevant and constantly evolving because, well, seemingly he's theirs and they're proud to have made something that's stuck for 3 decades and counting. And really, why shouldn't they be? I'm Bob, and that's The Big Picture.